Well, good morning. Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. Hope you all are having a good morning, having my second cup of coffee. With you all, hope you have something. Or some of you probably out there driving around already working. I feel for you. I want to talk today about choosing your past. What do you mean by past? You can't choose your past. I'm referring to your post-apocalyptic survival team. That came up in yesterday, so I'll get back to that in a minute. First off, welcome to everybody. Welcome to all the new people, both on YouTube and on Patreon. On Patreon, I just put up one yesterday, kind of an addendum to one I'd done before. I put up one on carrying multiple guns, carrying multiple weapons. Yesterday or last night, I just put up one about more about that, the calibers and carrying. Things to keep in mind about concealed carry. I've got many years in this. I've been carrying a gun for 47 years, so my knowledge, I should say, comes from experience. Okay, and I think people get wrapped up in some of the wrong things, and so I share some of that. I put a lot of this stuff over on Patreon because there are things that YouTube will either demonetize or shadow ban or just whatever, and I get a lot of people who have learned everything they know about guns by reading gun magazines, right? And I just don't have time to deal with those people. It's Patreon is for people who really want to learn, who really want to get into the depths of something. Plus, I have exceptional people over there. If you're not with me on Patreon, I hope that you'll come over. Not just for what I put out, but we have a commenter base over there that with such a wide and deep knowledge base, they have a lot to share as well. A lot of people with a lot of real world experience. So if you are one with real world experience and you're not with me on Patreon, I wish you would be. And if you want advice from real world experience, you should also be over there. It only costs $1 a month. And when I used to teach this stuff, I used to charge a lot of money for this stuff. And for $1 a month, it's stuff really that you need to know when everything goes to right. Plus, you get to see pictures of my roses, and because rose. Did you know that rose petals are edible? Yes, they are, along with a lot of other, and I talk about that as I did in one of my books. People say, "Oh, your books. How do I get your books?" Again, the link is down here, right below. I think it's linked to the Patreon page, and then links to my books that you can get through Amazon. But yes, rose petals and many other flowers are edibles, and so you get to see pictures of my roses over on Patreon. I just put up one the other day on my peaches are coming in. I just put up one earlier, right before I put this one up, or I just took the picture. I'm about to put it up, and I'll put it up before I put this one up. Of some of my apples coming in. Yes. Do you grow a lot of stuff? Yes, I grow a lot of stuff. Okay, now one more sip, and then I'm going to get into this. I love my coffee in the morning. I was talking on yesterday's, and I forget how it came up. I didn't review it. Forget how it came up, and I talked about what I referred to as your. Oh yeah, I think it was. What do you do when people who are unprepared show up at your door? And a lot of good questions came out of that, which I'm going to have to get back to, and I'll make another one about, well, how do you get rid of people who become problem people, things like that. Some people ask, some good questions. It says, well, if you send them away, then they know information about your group, what you have, and they'll bring more people back to raid you and all that. And, well, I discussed this in pretty good depth in my book, actually, in my books, all 5 of them. Yeah, what do you do when that happens? But there are ways to deal with it, and maybe I'll make that one tomorrow. This one kind of bubbled up to the top of the list today. And so when I talked about your post-apocalyptic survival team. That just kind of rolled off, and I thought, well, what's the acronym? P.A.S.T, yeah. And so I claimed it. That's what I claimed. This is my new term. This is a term that comes straight out of Stonemont and integrated preparedness, all of you IPers and Stonemonters out there. So I want to talk about that. What really is, and also, yes, and I had already thought of this. Somebody made a suggestion. I had already thought about it. Doesn't mean that your suggestion wasn't good, but I just want to let you know I'd already thought about it. Yes, I'm going to make t-shirts. Haven't decided exactly what they're going to say yet, but I'm going to get on it, and it's P.A.S.T, Post-Apocalyptic Survival Team. And you all can be a part of it if you would like. What is a post-apocalyptic survival team? And do you have one, and how do you choose one? That's what I want to talk about. The post-apocalyptic survival team is not necessarily who you have in your circle of friends now, or in your mag, or in your group, or in your tribe, or in your crew, or whatever it is. All those things have different meanings to different people. Joe Fox over on Viking Preparedness kind of brought those together in a very good way, about the difference between crew and tribe and all that. And I discussed that. Joe explained to me exactly, what he meant by it, and then I did my best to kind of portray that in the last book that just came out, The Blessings of Freedom, and I'm going to continue that in the one that I'm writing now. But this is not your past. Your post-apocalyptic survival team is not that. It's not the people that you've already designated and know. And kind of, you all kind of agreed, yeah, we're going to be together. And I just kind of call mine the circle of friends. They're people that, we know that we're going to be there if everything falls apart. We're coming together. I'm very fortunate that I have a group that is extremely talented, extremely capable. And I'll tell you where some of that came from. A lot of it came from the fact that I worked at a hospital in the security department for almost 13 years. As a result of that, I met a lot of the medical people, many of the top people. I mean, what we're talking about is the ER nurses, the ICU nurses, the CRNs, which is critical response or resource nurse. They're the ones who really come in once lives need to be saved, and some nurse practitioners and doctors and all that. So I was fortunate to get to know some of these people very well, and so a number of them are a part of our inner circle. And so the interesting thing is, I mean, these are people. Our medical is more than taken care of. We have enough for us and lend out to others, which can be important. The interesting thing is, a lot of them are also extremely well prepared and knowledgeable and capable in firearms. Okay, so we have kind of a double scoop there, and I've told some of them, I said, no, you can't be, if it all comes to, you can't be out there carrying a rifle. You cannot be out there fighting, because you got to be back here saving the ones who were and came back with a hole in them. But anyway, so that's where a lot of my medical came from. So we kind of know who our people are when everything goes to pot. The P.A.S.T, Post-Apocalyptic Survival Team, is much different. It's something that you should be thinking about right now. For instance, I know who my post-apocalyptic survival team is, but they don't necessarily know who they are. What do I mean by that? Well, what are you going to need in a post-apocalyptic situation? Think about all those things. Now, I'm just going to run down a short list of who I have, and And then you can kind of put together, you can start thinking of yourself and thinking about your team, what you want. These are people, when it all crashes, you want them on the team. Now I'm going to say who they are, and then I'm going to say how you get them on your team. Okay. For instance, okay, I've got all my core, which really our core group covers such a wide area of expertise. It's not just the medical, it's not just the shooters, it's mechanics, it's builders, it's people who can do carpentry, it's people who can do electrical work, it's people who can do plumbing, most of the trades, to be honest. Several ex-military, one ex-law enforcement. We cover a pretty broad spectrum here, and those people who have when I came out with my first book, or my first couple of books, and I would talk about them, some people would come on and say, well, not everybody's lucky enough to know this and that and this kind of person, nobody's going to have that kind of group. And I would say, well, I do, and if you don't, you might want to think about kind of reaching out, developing more contacts, and seeing how your net is filled, when you're willing to throw the net out. And a lot of people simply won't do that because, they're wrapped up in OPSEC. They don't want to put themselves out there. I'm just going to hunker down. I don't want to let anybody know what I'm into. They'll just come and take your stuff. And well, I'm going to do another one on that too. That I think people are, I won't say too concerned. I will say a little bit wrongly concerned about that. I'll do that another time. So when we think about what my P.A.S.T is, my post-apocalyptic survival team, it is all those that I've mentioned, plus others. Okay. For instance, in my neighborhood, I have 4 doctors. Now this is just in my little double cul-de-sac here. Okay, I have 23 houses. Is that all I have? No, I have 5. 5 doctors. 5 doctors. 2 of them internists. I forget what the others are, but they have the basic knowledge, and I can't remember if there was another specialty in there somewhere. It doesn't matter. I have 1, 2, a civil engineer, a mechanical engineer, an electronics engineer, got some lawyers, they'd be pulling midnight guard duty. But then I have one lawyer who lives across the street, but he's not just a lawyer, he's a former Marine. So that's the way I look at him. I don't look at him as a lawyer, I look at him as a Marine. And then we have some other people. Now, in addition to that, I have other friends of mine who are doctors. Okay, ER doctors, pediatricians, a surgeon. Thinking right off, I should have written a list down, but this is just a starting point. And so those people really don't know. Some of them know that I'm into preparedness. Some know more than others. I got more guys that are armorers, heavy equipment operators, guys who can build a car from the ground up, take it apart again and put it back together with a blindfold. And some of these people have appeared in my books. They don't know that it's them, but they have. Okay, so let's just stop it there. What do I mean by post-apocalyptic and they don't know that they're on it? Here's what I mean. When it all goes down, you, being the prepared one, And this is why I emphasize, I encourage, prepare for more than just you. If you've read my books, this is what it was all about. The reason that Stonemont was able to be successful is because of the uber preparedness of one family, who then, as were able to help other people who brought their skills in. And some of those skills weren't necessarily the skills that we've talked about. Sometimes it was simply that they were good people. You know, being a good person is I give that a lot. I'll take a good person with the willingness to learn and to pitch in and be a part of a group over somebody with a skill perhaps that is just a total a-hole that you can't trust because you're survive. I know somebody right now. Well, you got to put up with somebody. You know, skill's important. Hey, I've already thought about it. You're not going to come up with something I haven't thought about in this area. Okay, so these people don't necessarily know, you know, that they're on my list. But when everything comes down, a dentist. That was another. After a few days, when people are starting getting low on their food and nothing's coming in, now we're talking EMP, CME, this kind of thing. But really, I always talk about great casualties. And you can reduce this, you can bring this, but we're talking about apocalyptic, right? We're not talking about, for inflation, things like this. Although that can be apocalyptic for some. I know that some years ago, we had a couple of our neighbors who lost their jobs. These were high-paying jobs, and lost their jobs. And I was able to tell them, hey, if you need a little bit of help, you know, groceries, things like that, things are getting tight, you come to me. Okay. But anyway, for an apocalyptic situation, after a few days and these people see that things are not coming back, that's when you go to them. That's when you approach them. If you're prepared, this is why you have to be prepared. You go to them and say, hey, how you doing? You doing all right? Oh, you short on food? Look, you and your kids, come on. We'll help you. We'll help you. And you're now a part of our group. You know, that internist, that doctor, that engineer who has a lot of knowledge that can be very helpful to your group, who he doesn't have any more beans, he's going to appreciate those beans, and he's going to want to be a part of your team. And if one doesn't, if you'll notice, I said, you know, I know a lot of doctors. I don't have to take the first one says, well, I don't know. I said, well, never mind. Didn't mean to bother you. I go to the next one. Well, most of them will. What I suggest you do, and maybe we'll get into this more in the future. I'm just introducing this concept here since it came to my mind yesterday. And it has always been something that's in my mind. I just never put a name to it before yesterday. Think about this. These aren't people that you have to get on board. You don't have to tell them about it, because a lot of these people will think you're nuts right now, right? It's amazing how when everything kind of goes in the toilet, as we're seeing with people who kind of made fun of some preppers earlier, and now they're preppers, right? It's amazing how reality, excuse me, I got an itch in my eye. It's amazing how reality will open people's eyes, and all of a sudden the nutcase ain't a nutcase anymore, right? So why don't you think about who are the people that you would put on your P.A.S.T list, your post-apocalyptic survival team? Who are those people? Put them down in your comments. Let us know. Do you have something like that? And I didn't try to give a comprehensive list of the type of people that you might want in your P.A.S.T. You know, people in my P.A.S.T. It sounds almost spooky, doesn't it? I see P.A.S.T people. Go ahead and put down there things that you would suggest, and it'll help everybody learn. This will be a good exercise for everybody. I think I'll leave it at that. We'll probably build on this more in the future. Just wanted to throw out there for you all today. I'm going to finish my coffee. I have a lot more. It rained last night, so I don't have to water everything. Going to rain again later today. I'm going to get a couple more trays of seeds started. Wander around my garden, write on my book, and I'm going to have a good day, and I hope that you all will too. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. One of the things that I would suggest now to add to that preparation list is start your past list. Write it down, get it in your mind, write it in a notebook, whatever's right for you. But then start stocking up to be able to provide for them. Okay? If you want them to provide their expertise, their knowledge to you, you've got to provide them something. That's how it works together. That's how it becomes a team. Okay? You all have a great day. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.